Hey, how's it going, everybody? Ali Karnati here, doing a video. And this video in particular is for my son Ryan, that he can look at as, as he gets older, and just something I would love to be able to say to him just in case I'm not able to say it, or timing as he gets older, right? Is first and foremost, as your father, we always go through struggles. You're 13, you're going to be 14 this summer, and I know how tough things can get. Obviously, I don't know what your world is like because we're our own universe, our own world in here. And I know based off of how you feel, even in certain situations of where you're at, how you're feeling. I can see it. You know, I'm very aware of emotions. I'm very aware of mental decision making and your physical training. And that's one of the reasons why me and your mother set you up for training early on. Is she asked me years ago, what would be a great sport? Like, well, older sister, Ella, was in tennis at one point. She started a little bit later, but she did tennis. She did a little bit collie with me as well. And so she had a lot of the physical guidance because I knew that that would develop her mentally and then obviously emotionally. And now she's a NICU nurse. She did that. She finished nursing program before she was even 21, and now she's 21 and she's a NICU nurse, and it's phenomenal. Just turned 21 and she's starts that position, and what a great way to start her career. Wonderful, wonderful human being. Contributor to society and helping babies in the neonatal ICU, intensive care. It's impressive. And now I think about Ryan. I think about you, buddy. I think about my sonny boy. I think about how he can sort through his physical training. I know he wants more. I know he wants more autonomy to be able to train at a top level facility. We were at Nukes, and he loved. Talk about a boy that loves tennis. Not only does he love tennis, but he'll do anything he can to be aware and to improve himself. He was a very insecure boy years ago. It could be based off of environment, people that he was around. And it wasn't more until I came into his life more recently. There's a lot of things that I needed to help him be aware of. And I think number one is first off, being aware of the truth, which could be very painful, could be very difficult, but it's a truth that he has to embrace, even if it means feeling insecure and people knowing, right? Because there's a lot of things that I want to talk about this online platform too that is hard for me, but also released me from, being a slave to my own, I guess you could say, my covering up things that I don't want to talk about. And opening that part up in my life and talking to people about it has actually freed me to make better conscious and subconscious decisions versus not being true to myself. Because if I'm not true to myself, I will make these subconscious decisions that are probably not good for my career, not good for decision making for my kids, my marriage, anything that I touch, anything that I'm around, my surroundings. But because I'm embracing mistakes that I've made, I'm understanding it. And how do I create a procedure that is better results, greater results? Well, I want the same thing for my son, and he's young, and I have many more, years of experience being able to formulate ways to to pass that information down to him. And I know how tough it is for you. I know how tough it is for Ryan. His goal is to be a professional tennis player, and one day I might be sitting in the box with his mom and his siblings looking at him performing on the grandest stage, Wimbledon, Roland Garros, Australian Open, US Open. And it'd be great if we could look back at these videos and say, man, what was a way that worked for him? Because it might work for other kids, it might work for other families, it might work for other dads that are out there that trying to help their kid. And it's not that I want him to be a pro. I just want him to be great at whatever he wants to be great at. And he loves tennis. His thing is he won't stop until he gets there, right? He'll do it. It's like a do or die. He'll do it in order to get there. He'll do whatever it takes. And it has to make sense for him, right? And he has to be surrounded by the right people. His coach is phenomenal. He's like another dad to Ryan. God bless, Manny for being there for him. He's an angel put in place. He's one of those, like if you read The Alchemist, he's one of those omens that are put in place, those alchemists put in place that helps guide him as well. But he has to have that foundation at home. And if he doesn't have that foundation at home, it's very difficult for him because there's no stability. So we have to make sure that kids have a stable home, a stable father. I push the realm of physical, mental, and emotional training for myself, former athlete, and I still train as much as I can. Even if I steer off from, I always go back into it because that's my way of bringing me back to my physical, mental, and emotional training that I want for my son. And he trains tennis. Unfortunately, he's back at an all day school. To me, as a former teacher, I taught at Walter Payton College Prep. I taught one of the best schools in the entire state. At one point, it was top four in the nation. So I understand it. I'm in McGraw Hill. I'm one of the curriculum specialists for one of the best teams in the nation. So I understand curriculum. I've developed my own curriculum when I was at Walter Payton College Prep when it came to anatomy and physiology, have online businesses, I have a patent. So I understand the ebbs and flows of developing structure put in place for even a child like my children to embrace, to implement, and to take off, right? Because reality is when, if you want your kids to go pro, they have to build the skills as well as making sure they have the academics. That's the reason why I remember hearing Coco Gauff, she's been online since she was like, what, third grade or something like that. There are unbelievable online programs and online resources that I utilized for my kids that worked really well, and it didn't push them behind. It actually got them on track and even blew it out of the waters because they accelerated so fast due to the efficiency of it. So I created an efficiency put in place so that they can succeed in the academics while training all day, right? Like, let's say if they're training at Nukes from Ryan and Raina and Ryder would get up, Ryder little, so he would go a little bit later, but sometimes he would get up early and he wanted to train. 4:45 in the morning for 6 a.m. training. Ryan's already up. He's getting ready, brushes his teeth, fixes his bed, makes his breakfast, has a checklist that we talked about because sometimes he would forget. Remember, he would forget. It's like, yeah, maybe you should do what pilots do, or maybe you should do what surgeons do. They always check their stuff before they actually engage into flying, into surgery. Maybe you should do the same thing. Maybe military people, like when I go travel and stuff like that, for my company and for my businesses, I have a checklist of what I need before I go out there in the field. Maybe you should try to do that. So what does he do? On his phone, he has a checklist. So I'm seeing this boy walk around and we're about ready to leave to get to training. It's like 5:15. We got to be out the door by about 5:20, 5:25 to get to the facility at 5:45 so they can start training at 6 a.m. and end at like 6:30 p.m. All that is designed so that they have that training, they got that breakfast, that they got their online school, go back to training, they get their lunch, online school, and then they have their afternoon session, and then they're done, they eat their dinner, right? So there's this real strict discipline for them to be able to develop their physical, their mental, and emotional. Thing about school, you can't do that if you want to go. It's very difficult to go D1 if you're mostly doing school and then you got to go home, do schoolwork as well. And school, when you're in class, how's the efficiency of completing and understanding the stuff when you got all these distractions? So if you're in school at 8 hours a day, what could be learned? I find that you can actually learn as much as you can academically in school in about 2 to 3 hours, which is pretty good when it comes to training at a place like Nukes in Texas, right? Or these all day academies where the students are extremely disciplined. They have goals of Nukes has got like 99% D1 placement. All the kids there want to go D1. A lot of them might want to go pro. There's a lot of international students, but these are kids who have the same mindset. The parents that support them as well. They're not there to fail. They're there to learn, and they're there to stay disciplined, especially when it comes to their academics. I'm really good at making sure the kids have sound academics. That the tutor at Nukes, she's awesome. She's like, man, your kids, they're like they're hunkered down, they get their stuff done. I'm like, well, it's because honestly, I was a former teacher, so I'm like, the importance of making sure that they focus and get their work done is important, especially because it reflects on their training. And then the D1 people and the D1 colleges will look at this if they're specific with whatever degree they want to pursue, whatever profession, whatever trade, it doesn't matter. They have that specific discipline to get the work done and being efficient. As I look at systems as it has to be efficient, you have to be able to repeat it, make those adjustments pretty quickly. I just don't find that with all day school because they load you up with homework in certain locations. And then when you get home, you still got to train for what? It doesn't make sense to go to school all the way up to 3:30 and then make the kids train right afterwards and then they still have to do homework, right? It's an inefficient way to be able to get them to the next level. A lot of other parents that are, want their kids to go to the next level, guess what they've done? They've sent them outside of Illinois because Illinois doesn't have the resources that Texas, Florida, some of these other states do have. And that's what I want for Ryan, because that's what Ryan wants. So we'll do what we can to make sure that we provide that for Ryan so that by the time he's 20 looking at this video, he can look back thinking, oh yeah, I remember when my papa, when my father did these things and my mom, and like what they did was I didn't sacrifice. What I did was I put in as much effort and persistence, focus, effort, persistence to make sure that I'm being successful in my own realm. But at the same time, how could I do it so that some of that success transfers on to our children? And that is monetary value, love and support, right? Health, wealth, and love to make sure that they have those particular pillars. Because if any of those pillars fall, health, wealth, and love, then it doesn't support them. We need to be able to do that. Lisa needs to be able to have that health, that wealth, and that love to be able to give them. So we're essentially the foundation. If we don't have that foundation for them ourselves, if I don't educate myself and understand what is necessary to help contribute to society, and now people don't really need me, am I valuable to the workforce? Am I valuable to the community? Am I valuable to even other parents or kids? Do I offer something that is valuable and is necessary for making the world a better place? If not, that makes it difficult for our kids to even embrace us from our own leadership. So how could Ryan look at me and say, "Well, I trust you, Papa," when I haven't, had anything to prove to him that I'm trustworthy? So I have to be able to own up to my own mistakes. I have to be able to say sorry where it's necessary, and I also have to make sure I can make those adjustments. Talking to Ryan when physically he's been out on the court for hours and hours. If it's a tournament for hours and hours, and he's got multiple tournaments, and it's 98 degrees outside, it's humid, nature's trying to kill him. The opponent is just nonstop, and it's like super tiebreaker. I got 3 minutes to talk to him. What are the words I need to say to him to have him keep going? Was I always successful? No, but I have to learn from those words that I talk to him, because if I don't make my adjustments, he's not going to listen and he's not going to open up his mind, and that's not going to help his performance. And then I have to be like, well, I'm not good at this. I have to replace me with somebody else. But I'm open to it, understanding it. And that helps me to communicate properly to Ryan, and that helps him succeed. That is the trust that he needs from a son to a father. I don't push him. I don't slap him. I don't make him feel bad. I hear parents yelling at kids all the time in some of these tournaments. They micromanage them, and I'm like, hey man, are you ready? Let me know. You need 5 minutes? Give you that 5 minutes. If it's shorter than that, I'd be like, all right, you got 3 minutes, because I'm not sure if I'm understanding what's going on here, but I'll give you 3 minutes. But typically I'll say, when you're ready, you come see me. And when you want to talk about your data that I collect, the data I collected and what I saw out there from my perspective, from my eyes, from my observations, qualitative and quantitative, then I'll let you know what I see, and then what you want to, if you have any questions, to let me know, so that we can come up with solutions when you go back to your training. And that is the relationship that I have with Ryan, and it's consistent, and that's pure love, health for the wealth and the love, doing the best I can to make sure I have to make those adjustments, because if I don't make those adjustments, am I really helping him that by the time he's 20? Am I helping him go pro? Am I helping him be a professional at whatever he puts focus, effort, and persistence in? That is my duty. That is my job as his father, to be able to do that for him. So, Sonny boy, my son, Ryan, you're going to get there. Keep believing. When things get tough, I know they can get tough. When they get tougher, they will get tougher. But you know what? At the end of it all, you do not stop. You dig yourself out of that hole. You look for that light. And you keep climbing. You keep climbing. People will pull you down, but you keep climbing until you get there. And guess what? There's more to climb. All right. You can do it. I believe in you. You believe in yourself. You have a lot of worth here in this world. I know it and I can feel it. You're destined for it. Okay. Just believe. And when you believe, turn that into certainty. Okay. Love you, buddy. Talk to you later. See you later, world.